Got it. And then, so if those in our audience are maybe at that stage, they may be interested to raise capital. What is your guys' current investment criteria? Do you have some certain metrics you're looking for? What do you look for in a winning startup, other than being a little adaptable into the market right now?
Yeah, so it is super competitive, of course, to get funding in any stage. At the
Mm,
early stage, it's still about 3% of those companies that are fundable would actually get the funding. And this
mhm.
is including angel and is including early stage VCs. So there are lots of little funds that are popping up everywhere that people should look into, other than just straight institutional funds.
Right.
There are things called super angels, as well as micro VCs. So these are all these other funds that are in between that are coming up because the arena is being so competitive these days, and they may be a great fit for you because it just does depend on what kind of strategic help that you need, what kind of network that you need, and if these people have expertise in your particular field, right? So these are
Right.
all the criteria that is always super important whenever you reach out to any fund. Our criteria is that we write 25K checks. We are follow-on investors. So one of the first questions we normally ask is, who's your lead investor? How are you getting your lead investor? What are they specialized in? Because at the end of the day, you want everybody to be able to contribute to your business moving forward in one special way or another. But we also want to make sure that you have the expertise on your team to be able to go to that next level, right? So,
Right.
and then having said that, of course, we are at VenturX really focused on your KPIs and your metrics. So if you are a SaaS, we would be asking, okay, well, how many customers are coming back, and what is your customer life cycle look like?
Got it. And are you looking for companies only in Canada or North America? Are you guys open to other countries?
Our fund is open to Canada and the US. However, our 250 partners that are part of the VenturX community is open to everywhere in the world.
Got it. And what's the ideal stage? So you're saying more of that angel stage, if like where you're funding them, and what are the valuations you're typically, funding them at?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So it really does depend on the industry, of course. Some
Mm,
of them can actually skip through pre-seeds, for example, and go straight to seed, and which is great. Or they can even go straight to Series A, which is also great. So
mm,
it just depends on what kind of business that they are actually in. But for us at seed stage, which is the majority and the more typical ones, we would be looking at around the 5 million valuation mark. So it's not too high, but you're able to show some sort of traction at that time. And if you are coming in with a much higher valuation, then that's fine. It could be a better fit for some of our partners.
cool. Makes sense. So as a startup founder, raising capital for any startup, you probably understand this is super challenging, but it's also exciting part of running the business. But you mentioned so many different kind of options in the space that you can pick from: micro VC, institutional, all these super angels. How do you choose the right one as a SaaS startup? I mean, there's so many options. How do you know what's the right one for you, and when's the right time to start raising capital?
Yeah, so that's a great question. One of the places I would look at is definitely Crunchbase or somewhere like AngelList. So the reason I would look at those options is to actually see what other investments and or ventures that this particular VC or this particular angel fund has invested in before. This would be public information after they've actually already invested. And then you can ask yourself, well, are these people partners? Are these people competitors? You know, why did they invest in them? Are they going to invest in me in the same way? And if you can, what was their valuation? And on all of these kinds of questions. So this should all be part of your research when you're choosing the right partner. If somebody is
Mm,
investing in your direct competitor, they might not be very good for you to choose from. So it may be a wasted effort for you to even apply. However, if it's a great partner within your industry, then that is something you should actually bring up during your pitch meeting, because it shows that you know your industry really well. You know what's going to move you forward in terms of your roadmap. But even more importantly, you had done your homework and your research. So you really do deserve this time, and you really deserve having the capital in order to move forward with your business.
yeah. So there's the option of raising capital, but there's also the option of bootstrapping. So I don't know,
Yeah.
what your thoughts are based on your experience. When do you recommend entrepreneurs to actually you should probably tell them that, hey, you should probably just bootstrap versus going out and raising external capital? Is it for everybody to go out there and raise capital?
No, so there is not. So one of the first lessons that I actually learned when
Mm,
raising our fund was
mm,
from somebody who gives money to funds. So she said, if you want to get investment, you have to create an investable business.
right.
That does not mean you're going to create the best business. It just means you're going to create an investable business. So that is
Hmm.
a type of business that would generate a certain kind of trajectory in terms of your return on investment, right?
Hmm.
But is that really the best one that you're ever going to create? Maybe, maybe not. That really depends on your personal beliefs and your experiences, your backgrounds, and the expertise of your team. However, most companies will be bootstrapping. That has happened in the past and it will still happen in the future because such a low percentage actually get funding. It's just that we think it's a lot because we hear it on the media a lot. Of course,
Right.
because it's a news thing, it's a flashy thing, and it's something to be celebrated usually in our culture.
Right.
However, all it is that there was the managing partner of a 500 startups said this best. He said, fundraising shouldn't be something that is this celebrated, especially in Silicon Valley. It's like
Yeah.
saying that the cook just got all of his ingredients, but you haven't made anything yet. So why are you celebrating right after he did all the shopping? And it
That's
was a
right.
really funny thing to say.
Yeah, it's like here's some. You probably have a couple of grocery items, and then they're like, here's like they just throw a bunch of others. Now you have to like figure out actually how to cook this meal for like 1,000 people, right? So it's not that easy. Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good analogy.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I mean I think that is an underrated thing that's not celebrated as much and maybe should be, right? Like people going out there and bootstrapping good companies. I mean, look at
Yeah.
there's been some successful companies out there that have done it, right? So nothing
Yeah,
wrong with that.
absolutely. And you also have to remember that, as somebody myself who's turned down $4 million in funding, which
Wow.
also sounds kind of insane, but you have to see, were they the right characters to come into your story at this time or your journey at this time? Yes or no? Because once they do sign, you can't ever get rid of them. So you have to know, is it the right timing? Is it the right partner? Is it the right opportunity? And the answer
Mm,
isn't always going to be yes, just because having money seems nice.
exactly. Yeah. I mean, it comes with there's no free lunch. It comes with something attached to that, right? There's other obligations and that you have to think about. So you turned down $4 million. I want to hear that story quickly, and then from your side perspective, what's the most common reason why you're turning down an offer to invest in, say, SaaS companies?
So here in Canada, they were all in Canada here.
Hmm.
We have a lot of early stage funds and early stage organizations that provide funding. However, you always have to think of what's the next step, right? So as an investor now, myself, I am always thinking, okay, what does Series A, what does Series B, what does Series C look like? Whereas as an early stage entrepreneur, you're not always thinking about that. So what's really important to understand is that when you're getting these different kinds of offers, you are really looking at, okay, will this person be able to actually help me raise the next fund? And
Mm,
am I at the right stage right now, which at the time I really wasn't, to have to give up so much of my company that it wouldn't even be worth raising for the next round? And also maybe these are not the right groups of individuals or opportunities that would make it very appealing for the next round to be raised. So if you have given away a certain percentage in your early stages, your later stages might be harder for you to raise,
mm,
if you raise at all, and
right.
and then you are offered certain opportunities that have exclusivity clauses. That is also something that you really need to talk to your lawyer in depth about. What does that mean? How long does it last? And how does that affect my fundraising in the future? And how does that affect my mergers and acquisitions in the future? So all of these things come into play that put a different price on the contract than what's on the contract.
Mm. And what was the reason that you guys are refusing or saying no to SaaS companies to
That
invest
we're
in?
saying, as an investor.
Yeah.
So there are a few red flags that I think that people don't really talk about as much. One of them is who's on your advisory team. It's great to have advisors, but there are a lot of people that are not really advisors, and people just put them on their slides, which is odd. But and then there are some people who are advisors, but they came in so early that they took up a huge chunk of the company to be an advisor. So
Hmm.
those are the kinds of things that were red flags that we have seen in the past. So if you have somebody who has 7% or more as advisory fees, that's enormous. And
Mm,
has it happened? Yes, it's happened like today. but information is always out there and available for you to see, like what is normal, what is the average, and things like that. So there was a company that was a SaaS company that came to us that was like, okay, well, we have this very famous person that is part of our advisory team. And this famous person actually does do angel investing, but would not invest in this company. So these are also things that are red flags. And this person, who's the advisor, had 15% of equity in the company without being an investor, just an advisor. And so those are the kinds of things that, when we challenge the business models, like how does it work? Even if you're solving this problem, are you solving it in terms of, are you 5 times better than the current situation and solution, or are you just like a little bit better? And also, who else is on your cap table? Who else is on your board of directors? And who else is on your board of advisors? So these are the key things that we do ask often when it comes to SaaS companies.
Cool. So 3 things you mentioned, right? So your board of advisors, who's on your advisory team. 2, look at the cap table, make sure it's clean and enough space for not dilution. And then 3 is your product actually a lot better than what's out there, or are you just trying to copy, right? Yeah, makes sense.